What's up, you guys? It's Graham here. So let's face it, we're in trouble. It's recently reported that the average American only saves 4.6% of their income. The median account balance for those under the age of 35 is just $5,400. And now Gen Z has decided that saving for the future at all is pointless. However, all of that gets stopped today because there are 5 incredibly easy techniques that you would be able to use to save $10,000 as fast as possible. And the best part about it is that everybody would be able to start using these immediately for the cost of absolutely nothing. Okay, I lied. The cost is actually 1 like in the video to subscribe if you haven't done that already, but as a thank you for doing that, here's a picture of a cute hamster on a swing. So thanks so much, and also big thank you to Helium Mobile for sponsoring this video, but more on that later. Alright, so I found that when it comes to reaching any financial milestone, it helps to break down exactly how much you want to save and in what time frame. In this case, I'll assume you want to hit $10,000 in a year, which would be broken down as follows. $833 saved every month, $27.40 saved every day, $1.40 saved every hour, and 2 cents saved every minute. Alright, you don't need to go that far, but you get the point. Breaking down your goals in a smaller scale with a specific time frame will give you actionable steps to stick with it. And then move on to step 2, start immediately. I know this one sounds pretty common sense, but you would be surprised how many people come up with a great goal they get super excited about starting, and then absolutely nothing ever happens. Maybe you get a text message you have to reply to, and then you forget about it for a day or two and think to yourself, oh, you know what, I'll just do it next week. Or perhaps you have some upcoming expenses come up and say, well, it's easier if I start next month because Bitcoin is currently trading near an all-time high, and it's better that I FOMO all of my life savings into it before it's too late. Whatever the reason, you're only hurting yourself by not starting immediately. And when it comes to this, here's what I found. You have the most momentum when you're initially excited about the idea of trying something new. And then that excitement wears off over time until you begin to realize that your entire life has become one giant procrastination to the point where if you just did what you said you were going to do when you were going to do it, you would have already made it by now. But I digress. Point being, if you're going to do this, as in actually accomplish a financial goal, there's no way around it. You have to start right now, as soon as the video is over. Plus, studies show that 86% of people who start a financial goal immediately actually accomplish it within their given time frame. And even if I did just make that last part up, by starting right now, you'll at least get that initial momentum to make you that much more likely to continue without quitting. Next, in terms of how you could actually start, the first thing you're going to do is budget. The fact is, if you're going to save an extra $27.40 every single day, you need to know exactly where your money is going. And without budgeting, it's kind of like trying to navigate Costco on a Saturday without a shopping list. Plus, doing it is incredibly easy. All you have to do is make a free account with any money tracking platform, like Credit Karma, Rocket Money, or any of the other options down below in the description, where they aggregate all of your accounts and credit cards into one interface, and then from there you can see exactly how much money is going into and out of your accounts in real time. The benefit here is that by seeing exactly where you're spending your money, you're going to be able to pinpoint all the random, miscellaneous expenses that you never realized existed. For example, did you know that the average American spends $18,000 a year on non-essential discretionary purchases? Or how about this? It gets a lot worse. If you want to hear something crazy, the average American spends $281 a month on impulse purchases, $100 a month on credit card interest, $100 a month buying fast food, $91 a month buying coffee, $82 a month drinking alcohol, $60 a month on uneaten food, and $30 a month by leaving your energy running when you're not home. Just right there is $744 a month, or almost $25 a day that you could save on things you shouldn't be spending money on anyway. And once you begin to do this and actually go through your expenses like this, strange things happen. And no, I'm not talking about being retargeted with debt consolidation ads. Instead, it's like pulling back the curtain and seeing things that you never even realized existed. From this point on, if you want to begin maximizing your savings, all you have to do is watch your spending over 30 to 60 days and then cut back things you don't need. Sounds really simple, right? Well, guess what? It is. In terms of what to expect, one survey found that it was easiest to cut back within these 10 categories, and that would be eating out, alcohol, credit card interest, clothes, electricity, cigarettes, heating or air conditioning, unreturned items, convenience, and the lottery. Just think about that. Almost all of those are purely discretionary that you directly control, like eating at home instead of going out. Don't order alcohol. Pay down your credit cards to avoid spending more money on interest. Okay, but fine. I get it that cutting back isn't for everybody. So if you don't want to cut back, or you just want to speed up your savings dramatically, there is another way that you could put a lot of money back in your pocket. And it's what I like to call, how can I get the same thing for cheaper? Take car insurance, for example. Be honest, when is the last time you shopped around your policy? I pretty much guarantee with 30 minutes worth of work, you could find the exact same coverage for a lot less. Then from there, take a look at your internet and cell phone bill. Again, there are so many different ways to save a ton of money when it comes to this. Just go ahead and apply this thinking towards every single thing you spend money on. And sometimes even just calling and asking for a discount is all it takes to start saving money. It's also incredibly important to realize that at this step, saving more money is going to have a much higher impact than going and earning more money. If that sounds confusing, let me explain. Anytime you go and earn $1, you're going to have expenses with that dollar, like travel to and from work, wear and tear on a vehicle, and then taxes, which could often leave you with about 75 cents left over. But anytime you go and save $1, you get to keep that dollar in full immediately. And this is why it's so powerful. Although, like I said, this is just the very beginning, because there are several other techniques that are guaranteed to put more money back in your pocket immediately. And you're really going to want to hear this. Although before we go into that, remember how I mentioned earlier that you could switch cell phone plans and save a ton of money? Well, I'm going to be honest, when I was planning out this video, I reached out to Helium Mobile to see if they would be kind enough to sponsor, because they have a phone plan that starts at just $0 a month. And thankfully, they agreed and would love to be a part of the video. So here's exactly what you need to know. For those unaware, Helium Mobile is a new phone carrier with plans that actually pay you to use them. As in, you could potentially cut your bill down to nothing with their free plan, which offers 3 gigabytes of data, 100 minutes of voice, and 300 texts with no credit card required. All you need to do is share your anonymized location data to help build their network, which Helium Mobile doesn't sell and only uses to improve coverage across the country. Or if you find yourself needing more than what the free plan offers, they also have other options, including an unlimited plan for just $30 a month, all with no contracts. And if you've got kids, there's also the new Sprouts plan for just $5 a month, which comes with 3 gigabytes of data, unlimited talk and text, nationwide 5G coverage, and you stay completely in control of their plan and how they use it. Plus, what makes Helium Mobile different is that they actually reward you for using your phone. Like in this case, you could earn cloud points for doing simple things like referring your friends or sharing anonymized location data, and after 90 days, you could spend those points for gift cards at places like Amazon, Apple, Sephora, and tons more, all from within the Helium Mobile app. So if you want to try it out, even as just a free option for additional coverage, feel free to use the link down below in the description and use the code GRAHAM to get an extra $10 in cloud points for gift cards. Again, the link is down below in the description to get started. Thank you so much, and now let's get back to the video. All right, so in terms of being able to save a ton of money, one of the best strategies that you could utilize today is what's called paying yourself first. This runs with the philosophy that most people first spend their money on things like housing, fun, entertainment, food, bills, and so on, and then they save if there's anything left over. But by paying yourself first, you flip that around entirely. With this, you'll automatically pay yourself a set amount right off the top, and then you're free to spend whatever is left over from that. Just from what I've seen, the majority of American households don't necessarily have an income problem, they have a spending problem, as expenses continually rise right alongside with their income, so that no matter how much money they make, they'll always end up in the exact same spot. Except with a slightly newer iPhone. Like, just consider that almost half of people making over $100,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck. And if you think they just need more money, nope. Over a third of those making over $200,000 are also living paycheck to paycheck. And even this couple making $500,000 a year is experiencing the exact same thing. This is why it's so important to automate your savings, get it moved as soon as possible so that it's out of sight, out of mind, and once it's moved out, you're going to forget that it even existed, except now you're going to have a lot more savings. Now, in addition to that, here's a few other money-saving life hacks that I use myself that make a tremendous difference. And I have a feeling if you implement these, you're going to find money in places that you never even knew existed. First, the 24-hour rule. This one is really simple. Anytime you see something that you want to buy, just wait 24 hours before you buy it. That's it. Usually when this happens, by the time you wake up the next morning, the desire to own it completely goes away. Plus, if you've made it the entire day without buying the thing, maybe you don't really need it to begin with. Second, we have the 5-minute rule. In the event that you've waited 24 hours to buy something and you still want it, Just take another 5 minutes to see if you could find the same thing for cheaper or with a discount. In many cases, you could often get a 10 to 20% off coupon code for a single item when you sign up for a website's mailing list. These little tiny things end up adding up to a significant amount long term. Third, before you buy, remember the 10x rule. Start by asking yourself, is this purchase going to matter to me in 10 days, 10 months, or in 10 years? If the answer is no, chances are you should pass. Fourth, you should also consider, is this item worth the cost of its future value? For example, instead of going and spending $100 on a pair of shoes, that could be worth $1,478 if it's invested at an 8% return over 35 years. Or spending $500 a month leasing a car could actually be worth $1.2 million in that same time frame if you just invest the difference. That's why you should also implement, fifth, the 10-to-1 rule. If the stars align, you've waited to buy something, you found its perfect price, then think to yourself, can you get 10 times its cost in value? For example, if that $90 Ninja Creami is going to give you $900 worth of satisfaction, enjoyment, and future value, then by all means, go for it. I guarantee if more people thought about their money in these terms, they would have so much left over at the end of the year. Although in terms of how you could practically save that $27.40 a day, assuming you want to save $10,000 in a year, here's a few tips. First, we have housing. According to the Consumer Expenditure Survey, housing makes up the largest portion of the average American's budget. So if you could just get this taken care of, you'd be set. I know this is easier said than done, but perhaps you could rent out an extra bedroom if it's going unused, or you could ask your landlord for a reduction in rent, or you could move to a less expensive area once your lease is up. Now, if you own a home, like I mentioned earlier, go and shop around your home insurance rates to see if you could find something cheaper. Contest your property tax bill with the county assessor to see if they'll lower it. Go and reduce your water usage. Turn up your thermostat a little bit, or put your property taxes on multiple credit cards to get the sign-up bonuses. You have a ton of options at your disposal when it comes to this, so by going and doing a few of these, you should be able to save at least an extra $10 a day. Second, we have transportation. Did you know that the average car payment has now exceeded $745 a month? Yeah, that's ridiculous, which is also why it's such a great way to use this to save a lot of money. Personally, my recommendation is that unless you need a really nice car for professional use, go and just get yourself a really good, reliable, cheap, good on gas car that you could buy used, preferably at an amount that you could pay outright in cash, and then just drive it until it doesn't work anymore. On top of that, check your insurance premiums to make sure you're not paying for more than you actually need or for more miles than you actually drive. And by implementing a few of these, you should be able to save an extra $5 a day. Third, we have taxes. All right, remember how I said that housing makes up the largest portion of the average American budget? Well, that is the case until you account for taxes. It was found that in the United States, the average single worker paid 30.5% of their income to taxes, meaning 1/3 of your entire working year is spent just to earn enough to pay the IRS. This means it's more important than ever to at least make sure you have a basic understanding of the tax system to the point where you could utilize every single deduction and opportunity that you have available to you. From my experience, even just hiring a good CPA could make a huge difference, and by doing this, you should be able to save at minimum another $3 a day. Fourth, we have food. A recent study found that the average person is now spending $10,000 a year in this category, which is about $800 a month, and 40% of that is eating out at restaurants. Now, I'm not going to go and scream at you for eating at restaurants, even though that would be the easy thing to do, but instead I'm going to take a more reasonable approach. If you're dining out, eating at restaurants, or getting food delivery, just make sure you don't do it out of laziness. Like if you're going to work and ordering a $28 lunch instead of bringing food from home, don't do that. That is a huge money waster. In fact, Kevin O'Leary said that this was a money habit that was keeping so many people poor. But on the other hand, if your idea of enjoyment is going out with friends or family to a nice restaurant every now and then like I said, that's totally fine. Just don't do it out of laziness. And look, by following this, even if you're just able to save an extra $3 a day, over time, it adds up to a lot. Fifth, we have debt repayment. It's said that the average American now has $6,400 worth of credit card debt at an average interest rate of 24%, which means that's $120 wasted every single month that you don't pay off your bill in full. So instead, I would take the approach of cutting back as much as possible in every single category and then throwing it at this paying down your debt with the highest interest rate first. Once this debt is paid off, you're going to have an extra $120 a month on average to do with whatever you please. But until then, this should be your biggest priority. Plus, since we're tallying all of this up, this should save you an average of $4 a day. And I'm going to be calling this the 24% rule because the average interest is 24%. I came up with it, my idea. There we go. And lastly, 6, we have apparel. Look, Americans are spending on average $133 a month on clothing. In that case, add up the cost of everything that you bought that just sits there and then divide it by the times you've actually worn those items. Like if you spent $100 on a shirt and you've only worn it once, you just spent $100 to wear a shirt once. That's dumb. If you're able just to cut back on your clothing budget less than half, that saves you an extra $2 a day. Just right there is your $27 a day or $10,000 in a year for just following exactly what was outlined here. But what if there is a way to speed up the process dramatically? Well, thankfully there is, by increasing your income. The truth is, if you want the best way to save $10,000 as fast as possible, you could do that by taking on additional hours, finding a part-time job, or even switching careers. Honestly, I'm surprised how complicated people want to make this out to be. If you don't want to cut back and you don't enjoy saving pennies while eating rice and beans every single night, the fact is there's no other way around it. You gotta just work more. Honestly, it doesn't need to be glamorous, it doesn't need to pay an exorbitant amount, but if you have some spare time on evenings or weekends, this could be a fantastic opportunity to check what's available in your city. Even if you're working at $15 an hour after tax, that requires just 2 hours of work on average every single day to be able to keep an extra $10,000 over a year. And I promise, as you get more skilled, you're gonna make a lot more money in the long run. Or consider that those who switch jobs see pay gains nearly double of those who don't. And finally, since this is money being saved, make sure you optimize it in a high-yield savings account or a money market fund. There are so many examples right now that are paying between 3 to 4% a year, which means once you hit your $10,000 goal, that is $400 coming in every single year for you doing absolutely nothing other than that one step, hitting the like button, and subscribing if you haven't done that already. So with that said, thank you so much for watching, and if you've made it to this point of the video, feel free to comment down below, and I will do my best to read and reply to as many of you as I can. So thanks so much again for watching, and until next time.